This episode is sponsored by UPMC Altoona Elite Orthopedics. UPMC Altoona Elite Orthopedics is proud to support youth sports across our region and proud to sponsor the 2023 high school football preview on the Altoona Mirror YouTube channel. To learn more about their board-certified orthopedic surgeons and the wide range of orthopedic conditions they treat, or to schedule an appointment in one of their facilities in Hollidaysburg or Bedford, visit upmcaltoona.com/ortho or call 814-889-3600.
Piece of meat. You have eye holes in there.
There's a door. Are we gonna open the door when you talk, Mike?
Yeah,
Is that how we're doing it?
you guys just come in and be like, whoa, we got a mini fridge.
No way.
and then you can
it's
open
Mike.
So are we gonna have you guys like come in and see the mini fridge? Is that what we want to do?
Whatever you want to do.
Now, how about we just sit there and go, does anybody know if Mike's going to get in, be here soon? Good evening, everybody, and welcome again to the Altoona Mirror football show here on Mirror TV on YouTube, also on Public Access Channel 13. This is Week 10.
How about that?
And not only is it just a regular Week 10, but it's our special Halloween episode where we always, dress up for stuff. We're still waiting for Mike Boydham to get here because we're excited that somebody dropped us off a mini fridge. We finally got our mini fridge with the Buffalo magnet on it and everything. And Andy's dressed up. Andy is the guy. Andy, you tell everybody who you are.
I am Walter Sobchak from The Big Lebowski.
So if anybody saw the Big Lebowski movie.
Is this your homework, Larry?
There you go. You really have to be a fan of Jeff Bridges and John Goodman movies. It's a very funny movie from the 90s. I am, for the old people out there watching, I am Tom Selleck's Magnum character from the TV show in the 80s. But this is what Magnum would have looked like had he gotten old and kind of let himself go to pot.
It's not bad.
But this is how Magnum always dressed. Tiger's hat, shades, and short hair to drive the ladies crazy and everything. And again, we're still waiting for Mike Boydham to get him. What? Oh!
Whoa!
Mike Boyd!
It's cold in here.
Mike Boyd!
The soda is so nice and cold.
Oh. Where's the water?
Well, we thought that was a mini fridge somebody got
I
us.
thought we were going to get a fridge full of water here.
Is this where I can tell my funny thing where I can say, Mike said he was going to think outside the box for his Halloween outfit, and he said what the budget for this was what, $3,
It
right?
couldn't have been that.
Yeah,
I think it was the handle, right?
$3. We got the handle and the worst spray paint I could find.
And then a magnet. Do we have that magnet? How we have that magnet?
Well, we
stuck
got
on
the
there?
magnet from...
I know, but how did we get it to stick on? Oh, tape.
tape.
And the tape costs money.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, one year I think Mike and I went dressed. Mike went dressed as me, and I went dressed as him. And then what else did we? I can't even think what else.
Well, I'll tell you what. This was my backup plan. If my plan A, if that comes in the next few weeks before football season is over,
he'll wear it next.
I'll do it again. I'll do that.
We won't say what it is. So we'll keep you surprised. Yeah. But we have a lot of games to get to, so please pardon our tomfoolery and everything. And we're going to get right to the games here. We have 8 games Mike's picked out with playoff implications. You have to forgive me. I'm reading with glasses on that aren't my glasses.
Me too.
And so I can't see. So as far as I'm concerned, I really thought this was a box that was next to me and everything. But our first game we're going to look at, not many playoff implications here because we know what Altoona's doing. But Cumberland Valley 5-4 at Altoona 4-5. Cumberland Valley, Mike, tell us a little bit about them. What are Altoona's chances in this one?
Well, Cumberland Valley's on fire right now. They're a lot more on fire than I am in this cold fridge. But no, they just won a game against State College last week, which was a really nice win for them. They've won 4 games in a row, and they're coming into this game hot. Now, it's interesting you said about the playoffs, because when I talked to Coach Niedermeyer, he's saying that they're going into this with nothing guaranteed. They're going in with the mindset that they need to win to make playoffs. Now, I don't know if that means that they really do need to win to make playoffs, or they're going to go in regardless. But he's kind of playing it close to the vest there, because he'd like to see Altoona finish at 5-5. But it's going to be a heck of a challenge, because Cumberland Valley had to play some really tough competition at the beginning of the season, and now they've really come into their own.
And incidentally, Cumberland Valley, Andy, just beat State College.
Yeah,
I got to think the Altoona kids notice that. And how do you keep your Altoona kids from not being intimidated by it?
I was going to say, I would think that no matter what this week, they're going to be focusing on anything you can do to get ready for playoffs. So I think they know they got a tough opponent this week, but hey, do what you can against Cumberland Valley. That's not going to be easy.
And again, I'm a big proponent of the home team, so I'd like to think Altoona might feel like they'd have. I'll leave the door open to that interpretation of that. Did Mike know I made that pun? Could he see me from over here?
I think
Anyway, there you go. I got a thumbs up.
He's
He's sticking his hand out the refrigerator door. This could be a really bad Saturday Night Live skit that comes on at 10 till 1 in the morning. Our next game here, this is a pretty good matchup here. Forest Hills 6-3 and Tyrone 6-3. Mike, I know our people probably know about Tyrone. What can you tell us about Forest Hills?
Well, Forest Hills has had a pretty good season. In fact, they beat Clearfield earlier in the year. That's a team that Tyrone had a lead on and kind of let that game get away from them. Obviously, Tyrone has been on fire since the Bellwood game. They haven't lost since that game. And this is a really cool matchup, I think, because I know you know, Scott, and the people in Tyrone know, Tyrone and Forest Hills kind of built up a rivalry through the years because they had played so many times in the playoffs. Forest Hills under Coach Bailey and Coach Franco, those teams, one of them was winning the district championship for a lot of years there. And Coach Franco talked to me this week, and he's really excited to renew this rivalry this week in this game.
Andy, what do you think about it as far as having a game like that before you start your playoffs? That's almost like a playoff game before, because I would think maybe some coaches, boy, I wouldn't mind playing like a 1-8 team. But neither one of those teams has that luxury here.
And especially for a team like Tyrone, because that's pretty much set in stone that they're probably going to play Penn Cambria next week, right? So, I mean, Forest Hills, it's definitely a quality opponent right there. And maybe your brother is thinking maybe he'd rather have like a 1-win or 2-win team this week. But hey, I mean, it's not going to be a bad warm-up game per se for Tyrone.
Prep game. Our next game here, and I know I'm pretty sure I feel safe in saying this, that our refrigerator here is covering this game. Penn Cambria 8-1 at Bald Eagle area 8-1. What do you expect from this one, Michael?
It's really interesting because this game, the only guy who's been outspoken so far against what the Laurel Highlands is doing has been Coach Jesse Nagel of Bald Eagle area, and you'll read that in the in my story this week. But he really does not like these matchups, the way that they're doing them. And Bald Eagle area has a lot to lose here. If they would lose this game, right now they're number 2 in 2A, but they could drop the whole way down to 4 or possibly even lose a home game in the first round of playoffs because 2A is so tightly contested. In the past, Coach Nagel has kind of sat players in the second half of his Week 10 game to avoid injuries and stuff going into the playoffs. He won't be able to do that this week. And Penn Cambria is a very physical team, and who knows what's going to happen when these two teams play against each other. He doesn't feel comfortable about this game, and it's interesting because Penn Cambria, as we get to in my stat of the week later, will have something to play for in this game. So this is a very interesting matchup.
Andy, but I got to think he knew the rules going in. I mean, is he allowed to complain? I mean, everybody.
I think he's allowed to complain for sure. And yeah, I talked to him about it. He mentioned that to me last week. I covered the Baltimore game last week, and they're very talented. But yeah, I think he can complain about it. I mean, it doesn't necessarily work out all that well for him, especially with how talented Double A is this year. But I mean, it is what it is, and it's the hand that he's been dealt this year.
Our next game, and another great matchup. I don't know who's covering this one, but Richland 9-0 at Central 9-0. Mike, have these two even played each other? It was last year, right?
Yeah, last year they played.
And Central beat them.
Yep. Okay. And this game is interesting because obviously it's for the Laurel Highlands Championship. John Hartsock, I believe, has this game for us. And, Richland's game last week had to end early because there was a little bit of a fight that broke out between them and Chestnut Ridge. There was a lot of high tensions in the game, and we want to send our thoughts out to Dominic Shank, a quarterback for Richland, who suffered a broken femur. He had to have surgery Saturday for that. I think he's only a freshman, so thoughts go out to him, and hopefully he gets a full recovery. But this is a huge game. They're both the top seed in their classification, Central in 3A and Richland in 2A. It's really interesting to see what's going to happen in this game because both of them have recently played Clearfield, and both of them nearly let the game get away but did hang on. So that goes to show you that they're probably pretty even.
How did they determine who was the home team in this one, Mike?
Well, all of the teams, Central, Tyrone, Bald Eagle, as you see, they're all the home teams. That side of the division is hosting this year, and then next year the other side will host.
It was predetermined, so regardless, whoever Tyrone was playing or whoever Central was playing was going to be that one.
Yeah.
Do you think you could call this the Surprise Bowl? Because you think anybody thought Central and Richland, they thought they would be good. But based on how they've been in the past, people thought, well, at some point, doesn't Central and Richland have to be like normal? But they're not normal; they're exceptional.
Yeah, and you thought that maybe they could take a step back this year, maybe a little bit, not that much. But hey, they're both really good today or this year, and I would have to think that it's a Laurel Highlands Conference Championship game. It's a conference championship, but both teams have bigger fish to fry this year. They're both chasing district titles this year.
And then our next game, Winber 6-3 at Juniata Valley 7-2. Mike, Juniata Valley, they got to think about positioning as well too in this one.
Yeah, Juniata Valley also is another team with a lot to lose. Right now they're number 3 in 1A, but Cambria Heights is coming up on them. If Cambria Heights can get a win over Northern Cambria in a game we're going to talk about a little bit later here, they can certainly pass Juniata Valley. And Winber is expected to get some of their players back. They were without a lot of players last week, including their quarterback, Tanner Barkley. He's expected to be back this week. Most importantly, when I talked to Coach Grohall last week at the Northern Bedford game, he said he was going to be getting our show a helmet. So we're hoping that gets delivered to Juniata Valley to our reporter there because we'd love to have a Winber helmet on the show next week.
And hopefully the Winber doesn't, if they win, he's not getting the helmet as he's interviewing the Juniata Valley guy. Coach, could you hold this Winber helmet for me while I interview you? Thanks, like that. Juniata Valley, you got to think they bounce back because have they even lost since the upset? I know we keep bringing up the West Branch. West Branch has won a ton of games in a row, but that loss like that to West Branch could have really.
They did lose to Mount Union.
A lot of people lost.
Yeah. And West Branch has been playing really good football the last 5 weeks, 5 in a row right now for them. So I don't think that loss looks quite as bad as it did a few weeks ago. Yeah, it doesn't look bad at all anymore. So hey, we might have been maybe a little bit wrong about Juniata Valley. They're still a pretty solid team.
7-2.
And they have a win over North Star, which we all know is a good team that almost beat Northern Bedford. So.
And did North Star play Winber?
Yes, and North Star beat Winber 41-20, but that was Winber had missing players there too. The one thing I will say about Winber is they're without Luke Hostetler probably for the rest of the season. He's their best player. He only played 4 games this year and almost I think he had over 800 rushing yards in just those 4 games. So that's a huge loss for Winber.
And then the game Mike was just talking about here, it's right up next on our list. Northern Cambria 8-1 at Cambria Heights 7-2. goes back when I first started the Mirror in the fall of 84, 85. The Coal Bowl was always the last game of the year. This refrigerator scared me there. I thought something was going to fall out when he turned like that. I was going to catch a mayonnaise jar or something. But anyways, Cambria Heights, I got to think they're going to hold on to a position as well. As they're trying to move up. Northern Cambria is probably trying to hold on to a spot in the playoffs.
Well, not to mention that this is a really personal game for Cambria Heights. Last year, they lost a close game to Northern Cambria in the regular season. Then Northern Cambria just hammered them in the playoffs. So they lost both games to Northern Cambria last year. This is a chance to do a couple things. The Cool Bucket, when I talked to Coach Lewis, he says it's as important as anything. So, I said, are you going to hold something back because you might play in the playoffs? He said, we're not holding anything back. We want to win the Coal Bucket, and we're going to do anything to get it. So they're going to be going all out. Northern Cambria, they can still win the Heritage Conference if they win this game, and United Valley gets upset in their last game. So there's a lot of play for here, and 1A playoffs are going to be fun to watch. Northern Cambria is the defending champion, but any of these teams could break out.
And you played in a rivalry game up at Mo Valley. What was your big rival? Was it West Branch?
West Branch of Glendale.
Try to explain to Altoona, because Altoona BG Hollidaysburg people don't understand these games like the Coal Bucket Bowl and just stuff that other schools play for.
Yeah.
That's a big deal.
But one of the things that I'd like to talk about is our coaches at Mo Valley, at least my senior year, they were all from Tyrone. And they noticed that the Mo Valley Glendale week, our practices were way more spirited. And in the week of Bellwood came around, and they were way more spirited than they usually are. So these rivalry games are fun for everybody. I've never personally seen Northern Cambria and Cambria Heights. I've heard about it, but these are fun for everybody.
Our last game, 2 more left. We have Du Bois 4-5 at Hollidaysburg 3-5. Hollidaysburg going to have a postseason game here regardless. What do you know about Du Bois, Mike?
Well, they've had a quarterback that got hurt, I believe, in the second game of the season, and Coach Delatre thinks that he'll be back this week, and that could make a huge difference for them. This is his words. He told me he thought Du Bois, they're 4-5. He told me if this guy would have been healthy the whole season, he thinks they would have been 8-1. So he's coming back, and that could make Du Bois a much bigger threat. If you remember last year, this game went right down to the wire. I think Hollidaysburg won.
I think Cisnowski kicked the field goal.
Yeah,
right?
at the very end. It was one of Hollidaysburg's only wins last year. And this is a game that they definitely want to get. They're going to the playoffs regardless, but you want to have some momentum going into the playoffs.
Andy, what about that mentality? You're going to the playoffs regardless if you win or lose. The Hollidaysburg coaches got to worry about hey, they got another game regardless of this.
I think the main objective this week for anybody that's going to the playoffs is to get through it healthy, for sure. Definitely use the game. Use it for any playoff preparation. But in Hollidaysburg's case, I think they still want to go into playoffs. On a winning note and get some momentum going into playoffs.
In our last game we're going to look at, and I'm going to say the words here that Mike wrote that I can't believe. It's Bedford at BG. Bedford not going to the playoffs. Let that sink in for those of your football fans out there. BG trying to hold on to something for playoff positioning. Tell us about that one, Michael.
Yeah, they, the Coach Wheeler said last week their playoffs started against Phillipsburg. They got a win there. They need another one this week because Central Cambria can still catch Bishop Guilfoyle and knock them out of the playoffs if Central Cambria can beat Penns Valley in another one of these crossover games. And if Central Cambria wins that game and BG loses this game, BG could be out. So very important for them to continue to win here. They do also have an outside chance to move up to number 7 and pass Penns Valley, which would be nice for BG because if Richland wins, Richland and BG, that's a big matchup, and that way you could avoid that in the first round.
Andy, if you're Bedford's coach, you got to be playing okay, hey, let's knock BG out, because obviously they don't. And those kids are seniors, junior sophomores. They're used to the postseason. Now they're not going there. How hard of that motivational job is that going to be for the Bedford coaches?
I think back to last week when I covered the Bald Eagle Bellwood game. Nick Loveridge told me next week is their playoff game, and I think Bedford's probably probably going to be in the same mode. Those are both schools that are usually in the playoffs, having a down year. They're going to have to treat it like their playoff game, I guess.
And now we come to the fun portion of our Halloween edition here, where Andy is John Goodman from the Big Lebowski movie.
That's right.
Check it out on TV. You can see he looks just like him except without hair. And Mike is our mini fridge that we never got. And it just opens the door to all kinds of possibilities of what people can send us in the future. The Mike stat of the week is the first thing we're going to go with. Mike, tell us your stat of the week.
All right, now this is a big stat of the week, so I have to take this off for a second to fully explain this because so the stat of the week is that Central and Penn Cambria are, so right now Central's number 1, Penn Cambria's number 2, and Penn Cambria can catch Central, but I just want to explain just with this one example how difficult to explain this point system can be. So right now, Central has 1,170 points. Penn Cambria has 1,000 points, but you get 100 points for a win, and then you get 10 points for each win the team you're beating has. So Penn Cambria, if they win this week against Bald Eagle Area, they would get 100 points plus the 80 points the Bald Eagle Area, because Bald Eagle Area has eight wins. If Central loses, they get no points. So then 180 points, you're like, oh, Penn Cambria has passed Central, right? Well, it's not that simple. So they would be 10 points ahead, but Central also gets credit for any win of a team that they've beaten throughout the season if they win in Week 10. So BG and Bedford are playing each other, for instance. Someone's going to win that game, and Central's already beaten both, so they'll get 10 points there. PO's playing McCourt Carroll, so Penn Cambria's beaten both those teams. They'll get 10 points there. So it all plays down a trickle effect where Clearfield versus Chestnut Ridge, Tyrone versus Forest Hills, Westmont Hilltop versus Huntington, and Penns Valley versus Central Cambria. Those are the games that will decide whether Central or Penn Cambria is the top seed if Central loses and Penn Cambria wins. So that's how complicated this stuff is. There are 4 other games that don't involve Central or Penn Cambria that could decide the top seed in 3A. So whenever you're like, well, why can't you just tell me who plays who? Well, that's why.
And so would it be safe to say that Central and Richmond are rooting for the teams with the better records to win because they'll get more points?
They're rooting for the teams that they've beaten.
Yeah.
Because if the teams they've beaten win, then they get the points and Penn Cambria doesn't. And it's kind of interesting in this situation because Central has beaten Clearfield and Penn Cambria's beaten Chestnut Ridge. So one's going to get 10 and the other one's not going to get it. And it goes that way the whole way through almost because Central's beaten Tyrone. Penn Cambria hasn't played Tyrone, but Penn Cambria has beaten Forest Hills. So they have the opportunity to get 10 points there. It's just very interesting.
See, and for all you high school kids watching who thought math wasn't going to matter in high school, it matters, gosh darn it. It matters because Mike just figured it out for all of you.
That's right.
Anyways, and there will be a quiz at the end of this show. Again, like we said, as Mike puts his outfit back on. Okay, Mr. Big Lebowski actor here. Give us your Andy's line, Lebowski's line of the week.
Sobchak. Walter Sobchak.
Sobchak.
Here we go.
Short steps. Short steps are better than long steps.
All right. First thing I want to say is, if I was playing in this Bedford BG game, we'd have to reschedule it because that's Shomer Shabbos. That's the Jewish day of rest. Walter Sobchak.
Okay, again, if I saw the Big Lebowski one time and I did like it, but I don't remember it the way he remembers.
One of my favorite movies. Penn Cambria, you are my offensive line of the week. The offensive line. You could say that McCourt Carroll was entering a world of pain last week. They had a 41-14 win. Penn Cambria had 327 rushing yards. The left tackle is Eli Somerville. Left guard is Preston Fairbaugh. The center is Logan Price. Right guard is Jarrett Haynes. Right tackle Aaron Broombaugh. And H-back, not a tight end, H-back, Derek Height. Nice job.
And incidentally, I found out this week that the broomball boy, I grew up with his mom, and I didn't even know that. She's a fan of the show. She reached out to tell us about how they watched the show and how much they enjoyed it, and we thank you on that, Mrs. Broomball.
Also, a special thanks to Holiday Bowl for letting me borrow this bowling ball for a few hours.
It must be returned. Our budget's limited as far as...
I literally have to go back to Holiday Bowl after this is over.
We were just going to get black duct tape and just put it over something to make it look like a bowling ball, but they were very nice to us out there.
Yeah.
I wanna know what's the name of the game.
And here we go, our last regular season. Mike's going to shut the door here and say goodnight and everything. Our Week 10 Cool Names segment. One of them is from Bedford. He's a junior offensive lineman, defensive lineman. Nico Cordova. Nico
Whoa.
Cordova. If it was like a
Francisco.
late 70s movie, he'd be going to a discotheque with John Travolta and like Saturday Night Fever. Nico Cordova. And this other name, I even tried it on Andy before we went on the air here.
Yeah.
He's a Chestnut Ridge freshman, wide receiver, cornerback, Briar Bisbing.
Yeah.
Briar, B-R-I-E-R, and I got to think it's Briar. I can't imagine it's Briar.
Well, I've heard that name, Brian.
Briar.
Yeah.
Briar Bisbing. I just love the sound of that. I just
It's
think that's
pretty good.
good.
Yeah.
But hey, don't forget, because I always forget, like, share, and subscribe, and eat lots of candy, but make sure it's chocolate candy. I'm not into the Skittles kind. Maybe these guys like Skittles. I think candy should have either chocolate, caramel, or peanut butter. But for all, incidentally, our producer, director, Dan Osberg, one is the Invisible Man. That's why you haven't seen his outfit, because nobody can.
He's John Cena.
He's John Cena. Oh,
That's good.
okay, see, I'm not a wrestling guy either. But anyways,
You can't
for the Walter Zobchak, for the mini fridge,
Good night, sweet
for
prince.
Tom Selleck's Magnum. What was Magnum's first name? Do you remember?
Oh, I have no idea.
It was Thomas. It was Thomas Magnum.
Oh, was it?
I think it was. I hope it was. Anyways, for Dan Eisenberg, I'm Magnum, I guess. Thanks for watching. Next week will be, I guess, we're not going to do a Thanksgiving show, right? We're not going to do where we dress up as pilgrims or Indians.
Wow, I
But
didn't want to do that.
thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.